Have you ever been sitting in your favorite chair, trying to enjoy a quiet morning, only to have a sudden memory of a past hurt or a worry about the future steal your peace? It is a heavy feeling many of us know. In our modern world, we often feel as though our inner calm is at the mercy of a phone call, a difficult message, or a family disagreement. Marcus Aurelius once reminded himself that a person's soul becomes dyed with the color of their thoughts. He believed we have power over our own minds, even when we have no power over outside events. For example, consider this illustration. When someone speaks to you with an unkind tone, you might feel an immediate urge to argue back. In that moment, it feels like they are in control of your joy. Today, we will explore 3 principles and a practice we call the 4-second sovereignty. This video offers a simple way to stay steady when life feels heavy. Please stay with us to the end to learn one exercise you can use immediately. If you are ready to reclaim your calm, please type, "I control my response," in the comments below. The first step in reclaiming our calm is understanding a fundamental principle the Stoics called impressions. To understand this, imagine that your mind is like a quiet home. Every time you see something, hear a piece of news, or receive a message, it is as if someone is knocking at your front door. These are impressions. In the Stoic view, an impression is simply a raw news report delivered to your senses. The report might say that it is raining, or that a friend has not called you back, or that a bill has arrived in the mail. But here is the vital distinction that the Stoics taught. The news report itself is not the event. It is merely information. Most of us make the mistake of letting every visitor walk straight into our home without checking who they are. If we receive a piece of news that feels negative, we let it sit on our sofa, eat our food, and ruin our peace. We do not just see a missed call. We see a sign that we are no longer loved. We do not just see a blunt email. We see a personal attack on our dignity. This principle teaches us that between the knock at the door and the moment we let the visitor in, there is a space. This space is where our power lives. It is the ability to look at an impression and say, "Wait, this is just a news report. It does not have to become my reality." Applying this principle is particularly difficult in our modern world. We live in an era of instant reaction. Decades ago, if someone was upset with us, we might not find out for days or weeks. There was natural time to breathe and reflect. Today, the world lives in our pockets. We receive blunt text messages and social media notifications that demand an answer in seconds. This constant, high-speed connection trains our brains to live in a state of emergency. For those of us who have lived through many decades, this shift can feel especially jarring. We may feel a sense of pressure to keep up, or a feeling of being overlooked by a faster, younger world. When we are treated with a lack of courtesy, our modern environment encourages us to feel the sting immediately and to strike back. We have been conditioned to believe that our feelings are facts. If we feel insulted, we believe we have been insulted. If we feel forgotten, we believe we are truly alone. We have lost the art of the pause. We have forgotten how to stand at the door of our own minds and ask for identification before letting a thought take hold of our hearts. To see how this looks in our daily lives, consider this illustration, which we have created to mirror a situation many of us face. Imagine you have spent the entire afternoon preparing a special dinner for a family member or a close friend who is coming to visit. You have tidied your home, set the table with care, and waited with a sense of warm anticipation. 10 minutes before they are supposed to arrive, your phone chimes. It is a short, blunt message that says, they cannot make it today and they will call you later. In the silence of your quiet kitchen, your mind might begin to race. You might feel a sharp sting of disrespect. You might think, my time does not matter to them, or they are taking my kindness for granted. In that moment, the blunt message is the news report. But the story about being unloved or disrespected is a story you are telling yourself. The message is just a few words on a screen. The pain comes from the judgment you have placed upon those words. You have let the visitor in and allowed them to wreck the dinner you worked so hard to prepare. The ancient Stoic teachers spent their lives analyzing why we suffer in these quiet, painful moments. They concluded that we are never actually hurt by the events themselves. Instead, we are hurt by the opinions we form about them. Epictetus, a man who was born into the hardships of slavery and eventually became one of the most respected teachers in Rome, spoke about this with incredible clarity. He understood that while he could not control his physical senses, he had absolute sovereignty over how he interpreted his life. Epictetus taught, it is not even the person who insults you who offends you, but rather your judgment that they are offending you. Please listen to that again. As it is the foundation of your freedom, it is not even the person who insults you who offends you, but rather your judgment that they are offending you. This means that the offense does not live in the other person's words. It does not live in their blunt text message. It lives entirely within your own mind. If you do not judge the message as an insult, then the insult has no power. It remains outside the door. You can acknowledge that the dinner plans changed without believing that your value as a person has changed. You can see the news report of a cancelled visit without letting a storm of resentment wash away your peace. To practice this in your own life, we invite you to try a specific exercise called the 5 breaths label. This is a practical tool you can use the very next time you feel a surge of irritation, sadness, or overthinking. It is designed to create that necessary space between the event and your reaction. Step number 1. The moment you feel a sting of emotion, stop. Do not speak. Do not type a reply. Do not move. Imagine you are a statue for just a moment. Step number 2. Take 5 slow, deep breaths. Close your eyes if it is safe to do so. Focus only on the air moving in and out of your lungs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Step number 3. While you are breathing, give the feeling a name, but speak to it as an observer. Do not say, I am angry. Instead, say to yourself, I am having the impression that I am being treated unfairly, or I am having the impression that I am being forgotten. By using the phrase, I am having the impression, you are performing a mental miracle. You are separating your identity from the emotion. You are standing at the door and looking at the visitor's identification card. This 30-second exercise gives your logical mind the time it needs to catch up with your heart. It reminds you that you are the master of the house, and you do not have to let every wandering thought come inside. Apply this specifically when you find yourself overthinking a past conversation or a perceived betrayal. If you are lying awake at night, replaying words that were said by a friend or a partner, recognize that those words are gone. They are just old news reports. They cannot touch you now unless you choose to read them again and again. You can choose to set the report down. You can choose to keep your inner citadel quiet and safe. If you are ready to be the guardian of your own mind and protect the peace you deserve, please join our community by leaving a short affirmation in the comments. Type, "I am the guard of my own peace." I will say it one more time for you to hold in your heart today. I am the guard of my own peace. The second pillar of our journey into the 4-second sovereignty is a principle we call the kitchen table audit. To understand this, imagine your mind is a large, sturdy kitchen table. Every concern, every worry, and every task you encounter throughout the day is placed upon this table. In the ancient world, the Stoics taught that the secret to a tranquil life was not in having an empty table. Instead, it was in knowing how to sort the items that were placed there. This is the dichotomy of control. It is the simple, powerful realization that some things are entirely up to us. While everything else belongs to the world, the Stoics were very specific about what belongs in the category of things we control. They believed that our power is limited to our own thoughts, our own intentions, and our own actions. Everything else, including our health, our reputation, the behavior of our family members, and the weather, lies outside our direct control. When we try to reach across the table and force an item that does not belong to us, we become frustrated, anxious, and exhausted. We are essentially trying to hold back the tide with our bare hands. The kitchen table audit is the daily practice of pulling back our energy and focusing it only on the items that are within our reach. This principle is incredibly difficult to apply in our modern lives. As we grow older, we often carry an enormous sense of responsibility for the people we love. We feel that we must ensure our children are making the right choices. We feel that we must solve the political arguments that are dividing our communities. We feel that we must somehow stop the clock and fix our own declining health or the health of a spouse. In our modern culture, we are often told that if we just worry enough or work hard enough, we can control any outcome. We are taught to feel guilty when things go wrong, as if every misfortune was a personal failure. This burden is especially heavy for those of us who are caregivers or the emotional anchors of our families. We might find ourselves lying awake at night, trying to mentally solve problems that do not belong to us. We worry about a grown child's career path. We worry about a friend who has stopped taking our advice. We worry about the state of the world we are leaving behind for our grandchildren. This modern habit of taking responsibility for the uncontrollable is a thief of joy. It leaves us with a heavy heart and a tired spirit. We forget that our primary duty is to keep our own inner house in order. To see how this audit looks in a real-life situation, let us consider a fictional illustration that reflects a common experience for many in our community. Imagine a woman named Margaret. She has been married to her husband for 40 years. Recently, her husband's health has begun to decline, and he has become increasingly frustrated and difficult to help. Margaret spends her entire day trying to fix his mood. She tries to find the perfect meal to make him happy. She tries to manage his doctor's appointments and his medications with perfection. She believes that if she does everything right, he will get better and his spirits will rise. But despite her best efforts, Her husband remains angry, and his health continues to fade. Margaret feels like she is failing. She is physically exhausted and emotionally broken. At her kitchen table, she is trying to grab hold of her husband's health and his emotions. But those items do not belong to her. She can provide the medicine, but she cannot force the body to heal. She can provide the meal, but she cannot force his mind to be grateful. By trying to control the uncontrollable, she has lost her own peace. She has forgotten that her only true power lies in her own patience and her own kindness. The great Stoic thinkers lived through times of intense plague and political chaos. They were no strangers to the feeling of powerlessness. Marcus Aurelius, who ruled the Roman Empire during a time of great suffering, had to remind himself of this every single night. He was responsible for millions of people, yet he realized that he could not control the outcome of the war or the spread of the disease. He could only control his own character. He understood that when we reach for things outside our power, we give away our freedom. Marcus Aurelius wrote a reminder to himself that still serves as a light for us today. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." I want you to hear those words again and feel the weight they can take off your shoulders. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. This means that Margaret can choose to be a kind and patient wife, which is within her power, without taking on the burden of her husband's illness, which is not. She can find her strength in her own integrity, regardless of the outcome. When we stop trying to be the gods of our own lives and start being the masters of our own minds, we find a peace that nothing can shake. Apply this specifically when you are overthinking a past regret or a family conflict. If you are rehashing an argument from 10 years ago, you are trying to reach into the past and change something that is no longer on the table. It belongs to the history books now. If you are worrying about what someone thinks of you, you are trying to reach into their mind and change their thoughts. You do not belong there. Come back to your own chair. Come back to the few things you can actually do today. To bring this principle into your life immediately, we invite you to perform a simple 3-minute exercise tonight. It is called the 2-column list. Step number 1. Take a plain piece of paper and draw a vertical line down the center. Step number 2. On the left side, write down 3 things that are worrying you right now. Perhaps it is a health concern, a relationship problem, or a financial worry. Step number 3. For each item, ask yourself, what part of this can I actually change with my own hands today? On the right side of the paper, write down that one small action. For a health concern, the action might be taking a walk or eating a healthy meal. For a relationship problem, it might be sending a kind message without expecting a reply. Step number 4. Now, look at the left side of the paper again. Recognize that the outcome, the healing of the body, or the reaction of the other person, is not in your column. Take your pen and physically cross out the items on the left. Leave only the right side. This is your work for today. The rest belongs to the world. By doing this, you are teaching your brain to stop reaching for things it cannot hold. You are reclaiming the energy you have been wasting on ghosts and shadows. This is not about giving up. It is about being effective. When you focus only on what is yours, you become much more capable of handling whatever life places on your table. You will find that you have more patience, more energy, and more dignity. If you are ready to let go of the things you cannot control and find strength in your own mind, please join us in the comments. Type, "I focus on what is mine." Let this be your anchor as you go through your day. I focus on what is mine. The third pillar of our 4-second sovereignty is the practice of choosing dignity through what the Stoics called virtue. In the ancient world, the word virtue did not simply mean being a good person in a religious sense. It referred to excellence of character. The Stoics believed that everything in our lives, our bank accounts, our physical health, and even our reputations, could be taken away by a turn of fate or the actions of others. But there was one thing that remained untouchable. That was our character. Our ability to choose how we respond to the world is the only possession that is truly ours from the day we are born until the day we depart. To a Stoic, virtue is the highest good because it is the only thing that cannot be stolen, broken, or lost. This principle is about more than just being polite. It is about recognizing that your worth is not defined by how others treat you. It is defined by how you behave in return. When someone is unkind, they are revealing their own character. When you respond with anger or bitterness, you are compromising your own. Choosing dignity means understanding that you are the captain of your own soul. You do not have to let the bad behavior of another person dictate your actions. You do not have to lower your standards just because someone else has lowered theirs. By holding on to your virtue, you remain free. You remain in the driver's seat of your own life, even when the road is rough. Applying this principle is incredibly difficult in our modern world. We live in an age that encourages us to speak our minds immediately and loudly. When we feel betrayed, forgotten, or disrespected, our ego feels a sharp need to defend itself. We want to prove that we still matter. We want to show the other person that they cannot treat us this way. In the modern world, being right often feels more important than being at peace. We are surrounded by examples of people lashing out, seeking revenge, or using harsh words to win an argument. We are taught that silence is a sign of weakness and that we must fight back to maintain our status. As we move through the later chapters of our lives, this struggle can take on a deeper meaning. We may feel a sense of loss or a fear of becoming invisible to a younger, faster world. When a friend stops calling or a family member seems to ignore our advice, it hurts. The modern habit of canceling or cutting people off can make us feel as though our relationships are fragile. We may feel a strong urge to send a sharp message or to retaliate by withdrawing our own kindness. We tell ourselves that we are just standing up for ourselves. But in reality, we are often just letting our ego run the show. We are letting the actions of another person pull us away from the person we truly want to be. To see how this pillar works in practice, let us look at a fictional situation that many of us may find familiar. Imagine you have a friend named Susan. You have known Susan for over 20 years. You have shared meals, supported each other through difficult times, and celebrated many milestones together. But lately, Susan has stopped reaching out. You leave her messages, but she takes days to reply. You see her posting pictures on social media with other friends, but she hasn't invited you to anything in months. You feel a deep sting of betrayal and a sense of being discarded. Your ego begins to whisper in your ear. It says, "After everything I did for her, This is how she treats me. You feel an urge to send her a bitter text message, pointing out her selfishness, or perhaps you decide to ignore her completely, telling yourself that if she doesn't care, then neither do you. You spend your evenings replaying your old conversations, looking for what went wrong and fueling your resentment. In this moment, you have allowed Susan's behavior to become the master of your mood. You are reacting from a place of hurt pride, and by doing so, you are losing your own sense of dignity. You are becoming as unkind in your thoughts as you believe she is being in her actions. The Stoic teachers were very firm about this kind of emotional trap. They understood that when we seek revenge or lash out in anger, we are actually hurting ourselves far more than the other person. They compared anger to a fire that burns the house it lives in before it ever reaches the enemy. Marcus Aurelius, who dealt with betrayal from his own generals and friends, spent many hours writing about how to stay steady in the face of unkindness. He realized that the only true way to win a conflict was to remain a person of high character. Marcus Aurelius wrote a sentence that is worth repeating to yourself every single time you feel a sense of being wronged. He wrote, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." Let those words settle in your heart for a moment. The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury. This means that if someone is being thoughtless, your best response is to be thoughtful. If someone is cold, your best response is to remain warm. If someone is being dishonest, your best response is to remain truthful. By choosing to be different from the person who hurt you, you prove that they have no power over your character. You do not let their poison enter your soul. You stay in your own sanctuary of peace, and you keep your dignity intact. Apply this specifically when you feel overlooked by your family or betrayed by a long-term friend. If you feel the urge to send a message that you might regret later, remember that your words are a reflection of you, not them. You can acknowledge the hurt without becoming hurtful. You can decide that even if a relationship is changing or ending, you will leave it with grace. You can choose to be the person who is kind even when it is not returned, because kindness is who you are. Not just something you do to get a result, to help you choose dignity in your daily life. We invite you to practice the 10-minute legacy test. This is a powerful tool to use whenever you are tempted to react out of anger or ego. Step number 1. Before you send that message, make that call, or say those sharp words. Stop. Place your phone down or walk into another room. Step number 2. Wait for 10 full minutes. Set a timer if you need to. Use this time to breathe and let the initial fire of the emotion cool down. Step number 3. During these 10 minutes, ask yourself this question. If this were the last thing I ever said to this person, would it reflect the person I want to be remembered as? Think about your grandchildren, your friends, and the legacy of your character. Would you be proud of this reaction 10 years from now? Step number 4. If the answer is no, then do not speak. Wait until you can respond from a place of values, or choose to say nothing at all. Sometimes, the most dignified response is a compassionate silence. By practicing this test, you are moving from a reaction to a choice. You are proving to yourself that your character is a sanctuary that no one else can enter without your permission. You will find that when you stop trying to fix other people and start focusing on maintaining your own dignity, a deep sense of peace returns to your life. You stop being a victim of the world and start being a master of yourself. You may still feel the sting of betrayal, but it will no longer have the power to ruin your day or your spirit. If you are ready to hold on to your dignity and keep your inner house in order, no matter what happens outside, please join our community. Type, "My character is my sanctuary." Let these words be your strength whenever you feel tested today. My character is my sanctuary. The next part of our journey involves taking these ancient principles and applying them to the very specific, often painful situations we face in our modern lives. The Stoics were not just thinkers who lived in ivory towers. They were people who faced real family drama, the sting of being forgotten by their communities, and the restless nights that come with a worrying mind. They believed that philosophy is only useful if it can be applied when the world feels heavy. We will now look at how to use the 4-second sovereignty in 3 areas where we often feel the most out-of-control family conflicts: the experience of loneliness and the cycle of overthinking. When we consider family conflicts, we are dealing with some of the deepest emotional patterns in our lives. The principle here is simple but incredibly challenging. You cannot control the words or the moods of your relatives, but you absolutely own your own silence. In the Stoic view, a family gathering is like a training ground for the soul. It is a place where our patience is tested by the people who know exactly which buttons to push. We often feel that if a family member is being difficult, we must correct them or defend ourselves to maintain our position in the family hierarchy. This is especially difficult today because our family roles are often tied to our sense of legacy and identity. When a holiday dinner or a simple phone call turns tense, it can feel as though our entire history with that person is being challenged. We live in a culture that tells us we must speak our truth and stand our ground at all costs. We feel that if we remain silent, we are letting the other person win or accepting their mistreatment. This modern pressure to always have the last word creates a cycle of resentment that can last for years. To illustrate this, imagine a holiday gathering where a sibling or a grown child brings up an old disagreement from the past. They speak with an edge of judgment in their voice, perhaps questioning a choice you made years ago. In that moment, the old you wants to react. You want to point out their own flaws or explain why you were right. You feel the heat rising in your chest. But if you follow the 4-second sovereignty, you catch that impression. You realize that their judgment is just a news report about their own mind. It is not a fact about you. The Stoic Emperor Marcus Aurelius prepared for these exact moments every single day. He knew that he would face difficult people, even within his own circles. He reminded himself that he could not be harmed by them unless he chose to join them in their anger. He wrote a famous line that serves as a shield for any of us facing a difficult conversation. Marcus Aurelius taught, "Say to yourself in the early morning, I shall meet today ungrateful, violent, treacherous, envious, uncharitable men, all of the ignorance of the real good and ill, but I can neither be harmed by any of them. For no man will involve me in wrong, nor can I be angry with my kinsman or hate him. By expecting the difficulty, you remove its power to surprise you. You can look at a tense family member and realize that they are simply struggling with their own lack of peace. You do not have to join them in the fire. Your silence is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of immense strength. It is the proof that you are the master of your own mind. To practice this, try the silent count during your next difficult interaction. Step number 1. When someone says something that stings, wait for 4 full seconds before responding. Step number 2. During those 4 seconds, say to yourself, I cannot control their words, but I own my silence. Step number 3. If you must speak, do so with a calm, brief sentence that does not seek to argue. Often, no response at all is the most powerful way to protect your peace. The second situation where we must apply Stoicism is when we face betrayal or the deep ache of loneliness. This often happens as our social circles change or when we feel abandoned by a long-term partner or friend. The Stoic principle for this is called befriending yourself. The Stoics believed that if you are a friend to yourself, you are never truly alone. They taught that we should not seek our value in the attention or approval of others, as that is something we can never fully control. Instead, we must cultivate an inner life that is so rich and steady that we can find contentment even in solitude. This is hard in the modern world because we are constantly told that our worth is measured by our social connections. We see images of people surrounded by friends and family, and when our own life feels quiet, we feel as though we have failed. We take the silence of others as a personal rejection. When someone we trusted lets us down, it can feel like the very ground beneath our feet is shifting. We spend our energy trying to win back their favor or wondering what we did wrong, which only deepens our feeling of isolation. Consider a situation where you feel a deep sense of being forgotten. Perhaps friends you have known for years no longer invite you to lunch, or you feel a distance growing between you and your peers. It is easy to spiral into thoughts of being not enough or irrelevant. But the Stoic teacher, Seneca, who spent years in forced exile, found that his peace did not depend on being in the center of Rome. He found that by studying, reflecting, and being kind to his own men, he possessed a sanctuary that no one could take away. Seneca wrote, "He who is a friend to himself is a friend to all mankind." This means that when you stop being your own harshest critic and start being your own best companion, the loneliness loses its sting. You stop begging for crumbs of attention from the world because you are already full. To practice this, try a 5-minute self-befriending reflection every morning. Step number 1. Sit quietly with a cup of tea. Step number 2. Acknowledge the feeling of loneliness without judging it. Step number 3. Remind yourself of 3 things you admire about your own character. Perhaps your resilience, your kindness, or your curiosity. Step number 4. Decide that today you will treat yourself with the same dignity and care you would give to a dear friend. This creates a sense of inner sovereignty that makes the world's opinion feel much less important. Finally, we apply these tools to the heavy burden of overthinking, especially during those long hours of the night. The principle here is the mental audit. The Stoics knew that an untrained mind is like a wild animal that wanders into dangerous territory. Overthinking is usually just our mind trying to solve problems that are not currently happening. It is the what-if game that leads to nothing but exhaustion. This is especially common today because we are overwhelmed with information and choices. When the house is quiet at 2 in the morning, our brains often reach for the most stressful thing they can find. We replay old arguments or worry about future health results. We feel that if we just think about it enough, we can find a way to control the outcome. But all we are doing is losing the sleep we need to handle the day ahead. To illustrate this, imagine you are lying awake at night. worrying about a medical test or a financial decision. Your mind is shouting 1,000 what-if scenarios. In that moment, you must use your 4-second sovereignty. You catch the thought, and you audit it. You ask, is this thought useful right now? Can I do anything about this at 2 o'clock in the morning? The Stoics taught that we must treat our thoughts like impressions at the door. If a thought is not useful, we do not have to let it stay. Epictetus often told his students that when a troublesome thought arises, they should say to it, "You are just an impression and not at all the things you claim to be." To handle overthinking, we invite you to use the 8 a.m. folder. Step number 1. When a worry enters your mind at night, recognize it. Step number 2. Say to yourself, this thought is not useful right now. I am putting it in the 8th a.m. folder. Step number 3. Promise yourself that you will look at it tomorrow morning when you have the energy to take action. Step number 4. For now, return your focus to your breath. This simple boundary tells your mind that you are in charge, not the worry. When we apply Stoicism to these real-life situations, we find that our lives don't necessarily become easier, but we become much stronger. We stop being victims of our family, our loneliness, or our thoughts. We become the steady anchors in our own lives. If you are ready to be the anchor in your own life and protect your peace from the storms of the world, please share your commitment in the comments. Type, "My peace is my power." I will say it again for you to carry into your day. My peace is my power. To transition from simply hearing these ideas to actually living them, we must understand the principle of the structured practice. The Stoics believed that philosophy was not a set of interesting theories to be discussed over tea. They viewed it as a craft, much like carpentry or medicine. A carpenter does not become a master by reading about wood. He becomes a master by handling the saw and the plane every single day. In the same way, a Stoic becomes resilient by practicing small acts of self-mastery in the middle of ordinary life. This 7-day sovereignty plan is designed to move these tools from your mind into your bones. It is a week of training for the soul, intended to build the habit of the pause and the clarity of the audit. The reason this is so difficult in our modern world is that we are addicted to novelty. We are constantly searching for the next piece of information, the next video, or the next book that will finally fix our lives. We have become collectors of wisdom, but we often fail to be practitioners of it. In a world of infinite distractions, the simple act of focusing on one small habit for 7 days feels almost impossible. We get bored easily. We feel that if a practice is simple, it must not be powerful. But the Stoics knew that true transformation does not come from a single grand gesture. It comes from the quiet, repetitive choice to remain steady when the world is not. To see how this plan works, let us look at an illustration of a typical week. Imagine a man named Robert who is 70 years old. Robert often feels a sense of irritation when he watches the morning news, or when he feels his opinions are being ignored by his younger relatives. He decides to follow this 7-day plan. On Monday, he doesn't try to change his whole life. He only focuses on one thing, a single breath. On Wednesday, he prepares his mind before the day begins. By Friday, he is reviewing his actions with kindness and honesty. Robert finds that the world hasn't changed. The news is still loud, and his relatives are still busy. But he has changed. He has regained a sense of dignity that he thought was lost. He is no longer a leaf blown by the wind. He is the tree. The ancient teachers were very clear about the necessity of this kind of training. Epictetus, who spent his youth in the harshest conditions of slavery, knew that if you do not train your mind, someone else will train it for you. He believed that our habits define our freedom. He taught his students that we must be careful with what we do repeatedly, because our actions eventually become our nature. He understood that a person who practices anger for 40 years will find it nearly impossible to be peaceful. But a person who practices the pause can find peace in a prison cell. Epictetus taught his students a vital lesson about the power of practice. He said, "If you want to do something, make a habit of it. If you want not to do something, refrain from doing it, and accustom yourself to something else in its place." I want you to listen to those words once more. If you want to do something, make a habit of it. If you do not want to do something, refrain from doing it, and accustom yourself to something else in its place. This is the logic of our 7-day plan. We are not trying to reach perfection in a week. We are simply accustoming ourselves to a different way of being. We are teaching our brains that they have a choice. We are moving from a life of reaction to a life of sovereignty. To begin your own transformation, we invite you to follow this structured 7-day plan. It is simpler, clear, and designed to fit into your existing daily routine. Days number 1 and 2. The one-breath rule. During these first 48 hours, your only goal is to practice the pause. Every time you feel a sting of irritation, perhaps from a slow driver, a loud neighbor, or a blunt comment, do not speak. Instead, take one full, conscious breath. Feel the air enter your lungs and leave your body. This one breath is your declaration of independence. It is proof that you are not a machine that reacts automatically. You are a human being who chooses. Days number 3 and 4. Morning setting. For these 2 days, spend 3 minutes each morning with your coffee or tea. Close your eyes and visualize one difficult situation you might face today. Perhaps it is a doctor's appointment you are dreading, or a difficult conversation with a family member. See the situation happening in your mind. Imagine the other person being difficult, and then see yourself remaining calm. Decide in advance that you will not let their behavior move your inner compass. By doing this, you remove the element of surprise. You are like a soldier who has already practiced the drill before the battle begins. Days number 5, 6, and 7. The nightly review. For the final 3 days of the week, spend 5 minutes before you go to sleep reviewing your day. This is a practice that both Seneca and Marcus Aurelius performed faithfully. Do not judge yourself harshly. Simply be a kind observer of your own life. Ask yourself 3 questions. Question 1. What did I do well today? Celebrate the moment you took that breath or stayed calm. Question 2. Where did I lose my sovereignty? Notice where you reacted out of anger or ego. Question 3. How can I be kinder or steadier tomorrow? This nightly review is where wisdom is born. It turns your daily experiences into lessons. It ensures that you do not just live your days, but that you learn from them. It builds a bridge of continuity between who you were yesterday and who you want to be tomorrow. Apply this plan specifically when you are going through a period of transition, such as retirement or a change in your living situation. These are times when we often feel a loss of control. By following this plan, you remind yourself that while your external world is changing, your internal world is your own. You are reclaiming your role as the guardian of your own peace. You are proving that your dignity does not depend on your job title or your social status. It depends on the quality of your character. This 7-day plan is a gift you give to yourself. It is a way to honor the years of experience you have and to ensure that your future years are lived with a sense of calm and purpose. You will find that as you practice these steps, the heavy feelings of the world start to feel a little lighter. You start to trust yourself again. You realize that you have the tools to meet whatever comes with a steady heart. If you are ready to move from listening to practicing, and to take this first step toward your own sovereignty, please join our community. Type, "I am a student of life." Let these words remind you that it is never too late to learn a better way to live. I am a student of life. The final part of our journey together is about building a daily routine that acts as an anchor for your soul. In the ancient world, the Stoics believed that a person's life was not a single grand event, but a series of individual days. To live a good life, one had to live each day with intention. They viewed the morning and the evening as the two most important bookends of the human experience. The morning was for preparation, a time to put on your mental armor before facing the world. The evening was for release, a time to let go of the day's burdens and find rest. This rhythm creates a sense of continuity and stability that allows you to remain steady, no matter how chaotic the middle of the day might become. The principle of the daily anchor is about reclaiming the first and last moments of your day for yourself. Most of us start our day by reacting to the world. We reach for our phones to read the news, we listen to the radio, or we immediately begin worrying about our to-do lists. We allow the noise of the world to dictate our mood before we have even gotten out of bed. In the same way, we often end our day by carrying our worries into our sleep. We replay our mistakes, and we dread the challenges of tomorrow. By doing this, we never truly find rest. The daily anchor is the choice to step away from this cycle. It is the practice of setting your own direction in the morning and closing your own accounts in the evening. This is particularly difficult to apply in our modern, always connected world. We live in a culture that never sleeps. There is always more information to consume, more problems to solve, and more opinions to hear. For many of us, especially as we navigate the complexities of later life, the morning can feel like a rush of anxiety. We might feel the weight of our health concerns or the pressure of family dynamics as soon as we open our eyes. The modern world tells us that if we are not on and aware of everything happening at all times, we are failing. This creates a state of constant, low-level stress that wears down our spirits. We also face the difficulty of a noisy evening. Even after the sun goes down, our screens and our thoughts keep us tethered to the world's problems. It is hard to find the off switch for our minds. We feel a sense of responsibility for the world that we were never meant to carry alone. This makes the Stoic practice of an evening release feel almost rebellious. We feel that we must worry to care. But the Stoics taught that true care is effective, and you cannot be effective if you are exhausted and overwhelmed. Reclaiming these moments in a modern world requires a conscious, quiet strength. To see how these anchors work in a real-life situation, let us look at an illustration of an older woman named Sarah. Sarah is 65 years old and lives alone. Every morning, her routine used to be the same. She would wake up, reach for her tablet, and spend 30 minutes reading the news and scrolling through social media. By the time she finished her coffee, she felt angry about politics, worried about her grandchildren's safety, and sad about the state of her own health. She was starting her day in a state of defeat. By the time evening arrived, Sarah was exhausted. She would lie in bed and mentally argue with the things she had read that morning. She would feel a heavy sense of regret about the things she hadn't accomplished that day. Her mind was like a crowded room where everyone was shouting. She was not the master of her own time. She was a passenger in a vehicle driven by the world's noise. Sarah decided to change this by using the morning and evening anchors. She stopped reading the news in bed. She started setting her intention in the morning and letting go of her worries at night. Sarah found that while her external life was the same, her internal life had become a sanctuary. The ancient Stoic teachers were very specific about this kind of daily discipline. They knew that if a person did not have a plan for the day would have a plan for them. Marcus Aurelius, despite being the busiest man in the Roman Empire, began every day with a very famous mental preparation. He did not pretend that the day would be easy. Instead, he acknowledged the difficulty so that it could not surprise him or move him from his values. He viewed his morning meditation as a way to remind himself of his own agency and his own dignity. Marcus Aurelius wrote a reminder to himself that has helped millions of people find their footing in a difficult world. He wrote, "Say to yourself in the early morning, I shall meet today ungrateful, violent, treacherous, envious, uncharitable men, all of the ignorance of the real good and ill, but I can neither be harmed by any of them. For no man will involve me in wrong, nor can I be angry with my kinsman or hate him." I want you to hear that again. Slowly. I shall meet today ungrateful, violent, treacherous, envious, uncharitable men, but I can neither be harmed by any of them. For no man will involve me in wrong. This is not a negative view of life. It is a realistic preparation. When Sarah acknowledges that she might face a difficult person or a frustrating situation, she removes its power to shock her. She is telling herself, I know the world is messy, but I am steady. I know people can be unkind, but I will remain kind. This is how you reclaim your sovereignty before you even put your feet on the floor. To bring this daily routine into your own life, we invite you to follow this simple two-part practice. It takes less than 10 minutes a day, but it will change the quality of every hour in between. Part number 1. The morning preparation. As you are drinking your first cup of water or tea, do not look at your phone. Instead, spend 2 minutes visualizing the person you want to be today. Repeat a version of Marcus Aurelius's thought in your own words. Say to yourself, I will meet difficult people and situations today. I cannot control them, but I control my own kindness and my own response. Whatever happens, I will remain anchored in my values. This simple act of preparation is like putting on a warm coat before walking out into the cold. It protects you. Part number 2. The evening release. At the end of your day, as you are preparing for bed, spend 3 minutes closing your books. This is a moment of total honesty and total grace. Ask yourself, what did I do well today then? Acknowledge what you did not finish or where you lost your peace. And here is the most important step. Say to yourself, I have done what I could today. The rest I leave to the universe. Or, for those of you with a personal faith, you might say, the rest I leave to God. This evening release is a way to tell your mind that the work is over. You are handing the heavy burdens over to something larger than yourself. You are deciding that your sleep is sacred and that you have done enough. This prevents the cycle of overthinking and allows you to wake up the next morning with a fresh heart. Apply this specifically when you are caring for others or when you feel the weight of the world's problems pressing down on you. These anchors are not about ignoring reality. They are about giving yourself the strength to handle it. When you prepare in the morning, you are choosing your armor. When you release in the evening, you are choosing your peace. This routine reminds you that while you are in the world, you do not have to be consumed by it. You are the master of your own time, and your dignity is found in how you handle each day. One moment at a time. If you are ready to set your anchors and find a deeper calm in your daily life, please join our community by sharing your commitment. Type, I am the master of my day. Let this be your quiet truth as you move through your morning and into your evening. I am the master of my day. We return now to that quiet morning we imagined at the beginning of our time together. You are sitting in your favorite chair, and perhaps a memory of a past hurt or a sudden worry about a loved one begins to rise in your heart. But something is different now. You are no longer the same person who started this journey with us. You have seen that between that stinging memory and your own response, there is a door. You have learned that you are the guardian standing at that door. You have realized that while the world may be heavy, you have the 4-second sovereignty to decide how you carry that weight. This is the ultimate promise of the Stoic path. It is not a promise of a life without pain, but a promise of a life lived with untouchable dignity. As we look back at the pillars we have explored, we see a path of true hope. The first pillar, the catch, showed us that our feelings are not always facts. They are news reports that we have the power to audit. The second pillar, the kitchen table audit, gave us the freedom to let go of the things we cannot control and focus our energy where it actually matters. And the third pillar, the value-aligned choice, reminded us that our character is our sanctuary. These are not just ancient ideas. They are a way for us to navigate the complexities of our later years with a sense of purpose and calm. We see that we are not alone. We are walking a path that has been paved by the wisdom of those who came before us. And we walk it together as a community of seekers. The main lesson we must take away today is simple yet profound. Your peace is not a gift that the world gives you. It is a skill that you build for yourself. Every time you take a breath before reacting, you are building that skill. Every time you cross an item off your list of worries because it does not belong to you, you are strengthening your soul. It is never too late to reclaim your sovereignty. Whether you are 35 or 85, the opportunity to be the master of your own mind is available to you in this very moment. There is a deep, quiet joy in knowing that while you cannot change the direction of the wind, you can always adjust your sails. To help you integrate this into your daily life, we have prepared a final summary of your 7-day sovereignty plan. We invite you to write this down or listen to it several times until it feels like a natural part of your week. Step number 1. For the next 2 days, Practice the one breath rule. Whenever you feel a spark of anger or a wave of overthinking, simply take one conscious breath. This is your anchor. It reminds you that you have a choice. Step number 2. On days 3 and 4, begin your morning with the setting exercise. Spend 2 minutes visualizing a difficult moment you might face and decide in advance that you will remain calm. You are preparing your inner citadel before the noise of the day begins. Step number 3. For the final 3 days, practice the nightly review. Spend 5 minutes before sleep acknowledging what you did well and letting go of what you could not finish. Hand the rest over to the universe and allow your mind to find true rest. By following this small plan, you are not just changing your week, you are changing your nature. You are accustoming yourself to a life of steady, quiet power. Before we conclude, we invite you to make a small, honest commitment to yourself and to this community. What is one small thing you will do differently today? Perhaps you will take that one breath when the phone rings. Or you will perform your first kitchen table audit tonight. We invite you to share that small commitment in the comments below. By writing it down, you make it real. And by reading the commitments of others, you will see that you are part of a group of people who are all striving for a better, more peaceful way of living. Your words may be exactly what someone else needs to hear today to feel less alone in their struggle. If this message has brought a moment of clarity or peace to your heart, we invite you to join our community. You can do this by subscribing to our channel and sharing this video with someone who might be feeling the weight of the world right now. When we share these ancient tools, we help to build a world that is a little more patient and a little more kind. We are honored to have you on this path with us. We must also share a gentle reminder. These ideas are shared for reflection and personal growth, and they are not a substitute for professional mental health support. If you are going through something heavy, or if your heart feels too burdened to carry alone, please reach out to someone you trust or a qualified professional. We respect the journey each of you is on, and we know that sometimes we all need a helping hand. Stoicism is a set of tools to supplement our lives, not to replace the care we owe to our physical and mental health. We also want to acknowledge the deep faith that many of you carry. Stoicism is a philosophy of life that respects the order of the universe, and for many, it beautifully complements their personal religious beliefs. Whether you call the order of the world providence, the universe, or God, the practice of focusing on your own character and being kind to others is a universal truth. We walk this path together, honoring our different backgrounds, but united in our desire for a steadier, more dignified life. As you go out into your day, remember that you carry your sanctuary within you. You do not have to search for peace in the news, in the opinions of others, or in a world that is constantly changing. You find it in the 4 seconds before you speak. You find it in the quiet choice to be kind when it is difficult. You find it in the strength of your own character. You are the guard at the door. You are the master of the table. You are the captain of your soul. To seal this journey together, we invite you to leave one final affirmation in the comments. Type, "I own my peace." I will say it one more time so it can settle into your heart for the rest of your day. I own my peace. Thank you for your time, your attention, and your quiet strength. We look forward to walking the next part of the path with you. Be well and stay steady.